meeting officially. Today is the agenda of the work session, Mayor and Council, City of Mount Rainier, Maryland. Virtual work session for today, Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Let me see, do I have Jared or Luke here? Not yet. So Valerie, you're the senior member. After I do roll call, I need to do a read down of the agenda, okay? So call to order, Valerie Woodall.
I'm here.
Danielle Carr.
Here.
All right, and I don't have Luke or Jared here, but I'm here, so we have quorum of 3. Okay.
Mayor, Luke just entered.
You got lucky, Luke. So mark Luke here, and can somebody text Jared, because we're moving along very quickly. All right, perfect. So Valerie, you locked out. Luke, can you please do a rundown of the agenda? Luke Chesek, your mic is off. It's
Sorry
muted.
about that. Agenda of the work session for the City of Mount Rainier, virtual work session, Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Items for discussion are 1, call to order, 2, review of the agenda, 3, presentation and discussion of on the FY23 audit report. Mr. Dan Kenny will make a presentation to us on the FY23 audit report. 4, presentation and discussion on building application for 3207 Perry Street, Mount Rainier. 5, discussion on the mayor and council retreat. 6, presentation and discussion on a community conversation on crime for residents of Ward 1. Councilmember Daniel Cardo will make a presentation on having a community conversation on crime with residents of Ward 1 and other members of the community. 7, adjournment.
Thank you so much, Luke. I need to be precise with you guys. This meeting will end at 8. It's a specialty meeting. I want to start by saying we have an agenda. Great. I want to start by taking a moment of privilege to thank the City of Mount Rainier staff that since 5:30 in the morning, along with me, have been out there giving food baskets. More than 50,000 pounds of food was moved through the city, benefiting more than 3,000 residents of the City of Mount Rainier. And we literally just left the police department and came straight to this meeting. So I want you guys to please be aware that this is where we're at. It was freezing rain most of the day, so we're all really beat up and in bad shape. So this will be an hour meeting, and I'm calling it off after that. Okay, be fully aware. We're not joking with this because the staff needs to go home and rest. Melissa's still at City Hall, so is Jared and a couple of the other people as well. And literally, I just walked in home from delivering the last basket to one of the seniors that couldn't make it due to the rain. Okay, all right. Moving on to, we review the agenda. Moving on to item number 3, one of the main reasons why we're here. Presentation discussion on the FY 2023 audit report. Mr. Dan Kinley will have a presentation to Mayor and Council on the FY 23 audit report. As a reminder to our wonderful residents, it had been back to maybe 10 years that we did not submit an audit on time. And this is actually our 2nd year submitted on time with no need of extension. So that alone is a big success and work from the whole entire team. Mr. Kamali, Ron Wilson, also Natalie Sam, but also every department chair and administrative team that has made sure that they keep things structurally in order to make life a lot easier for all of us. So giving you the backdrop, I know me and Luke dream about this day, like last year and then this year. Now it's a sequence. And, you know, you'll see a lot of the work. I know Jared joined later than Valerie, right? But I will tell you that it's been like very much like what we've been working very, very hard towards, and want to make sure this trend continues. Because if you don't have your audit online, there's very little that you can do. And people have been very trusting of us because we show them that we work really hard collectively as a team in order to make sure they give us grants and everything else. And we promised them the audits were going to be done. And this is the 2nd year that they have been done on time. So before I start, I want to say thank you also to our auditors as well as our city staff for doing this heavy lifting that there is. All right, Mr. Kinley, the mic is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Nice to be here. With me this evening is Wendolyn Yang. She's a senior associate with Mitchell & Titus. She was one of our team members who performed the audit. So we have 2 documents. Could she get control over the screen so she can put up the 2 documents that we're going to go over? And the first,
Nelly, can you do screen share, please?
Yeah, for Wendell.
I
And
give
then-
her the control already.
Okay,
good,
perfect.
good.
And please
Great.
make sure that once you're done, you return it because sometimes we have problems with fast return, okay? Thank you, Wendelin. Go ahead.
All right, so Wendelin, could we go with the financial statements first?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. And so on the financial statements, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the independent auditor's report. And then we're going to talk about some of the information in the financials, go through one item in the notes and go back to the internal control letter. So this is your independent auditor's report. And once again, I'm Dan Kenny, partner with Mitchell & Titus. And we audited the city as of and for the year ended June 30, 2023. We conducted our audit in accordance with two standards: government auditing standards and generally accepted auditing standards. And in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented. And if you go under responsibilities of management, they're responsible for the fair presentation of the financials. If you go to the next page, this is where it outlines our responsibility, and there are 5 bullets as to what we have to do with respect to the audit. I'm not going to read those because we're going to be short on time. If you go to the next page, because you have RSI information, and that is your budget, your OPEB information, your pension information, and your MD&A, so that's included there. And then because the audit is done in accordance with government auditing standards, we issue the report on internal control, which we'll go into. So if you could go to the MD&A, the MD&A starts on page, it goes from 4 to 11. It gives high-level information about what's in the basic financial statements, and there's some condensed information there. And then on pages 12, 13, 14, and 15, starting on page 12, this is your statement of net position on a government-wide basis. And then on page, we'll let her get there, page 12, that's your statement of net position. And then on page 13, this is your statement of activities for the entire city. And then on 14 is your general fund. And then, as you know, in accordance with GASB 34, you have to show the reconciliation between your general fund and your statement of net position, and that's on page 15. And then, of course, on 16, that's your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the general fund. And then on 17, you have to show the reconciliation between your statement of activities on page 13 and your statement of revenues and expenses on page 17. That is a requirement. And then if you go to your notes, starting on page 18, your significant accounting policies goes from 18 to 25, talks about all the different policies with respect to, how things are accounted for. It's very lengthy. And your notes, they go, from pages 18 all the way, back to 46. And on note 9, this is your pension obligation note. And it goes, it's, as you remember from last year, it goes from page 32 to 41. And on page 36, I want to show you the sensitivity footnote where your net pension liability number is 2.2 million, as you can see. The city's proportionate share of the net pension liability. And if your discount rate were to go up or down by 1%, you can see the fluctuation of what it would be. So that's a significant estimate, and we're required to disclose that to you and show you that. So I wanted to point that out. And then in the back of your statement, of course, is the RSI information. And that was mentioned in the independent auditor's report, and that's the budget to actual, and then some of the info for the pension. Now let's go to page 53 and 54. I want to go to those pages. Those are, as I mentioned, the audit's done in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And because of that, we issue the report on internal control. So here it is. And there are 2 sections to it. There's internal control over financial reporting. And we want to note that there are no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted. And then if you go to the next page, there's a report on compliance and other matters, and the last sentence indicates there are no instances of non-compliance noted. All right, and then page 54, I want to point out to you, And all these reports are dated October 31. So I believe that is one of you mentioned, first time in 10 years. I believe that first time in 10 years, that's the earliest you have ever completed it in that 10-year period. So I wanted to point that out. And anyway, so if you go to 55, go to page 55. So there's a schedule in here of the prior year comments. If you recall, you had comments in the previous year, and those two conditions have been resolved. So once again, you don't have any material weaknesses or any significant deficiencies that were noted. And so I wanted to point that out. That is something new. And what we have to do is comment on the prior year and the fact of status that it is resolved. So congratulations to the city and the team for that. Okay, moving on. Now I want to go through the presentation that we first put up. We'll go through that, talk a little bit about that. Okay, so let's go to page 3 on the presentation. All right, so this is what we're going to go over, just some of the highlights. I'll show you all the team members, fraud considerations that we look at as an auditor, summary of audit results, and then the required communications. So if we go to summary audit highlights. So this talks about the scope, the engagement status, once again, internal controls, no material weaknesses or no significant deficiencies, and non-attest services means that we actually prepare the financial statements, and we are allowed to do so. It is considered a non-attest service, but we believe that management has the competency to understand what we're doing, and that's why we're allowed to do it, so there isn't any independence issues. Okay, moving on. And so this is our approach as to, how we go through the audit in terms of planning. When we go through our strategy and our risk assessment, what we have to do, we have to go through and customize our approach. And because it was a first-year audit, first year for Mitchell and Titus, not necessarily for me, but we have to get all the documentation again. Everything we look at is brand new to Wendelin and Scott and all the other members on the team. So we had to go through all that information, and kudos to management and us working together. The fact that we were able to get, a new firm in and the job done earlier than it's ever been done in a long, long time. It took a lot of effort on our part. We had a lot of people involved in the job, and I got to tell you, your management team was very, very responsive, very attentive. We always had weekly calls, and in between the weekly calls, we would always call them with different questions, and it was really, really helpful in order to get it done. Once again, because we were first year, so I can't emphasize that enough because it was super, super helpful. And so now, congratulations, you guys are now on track. So no going back to the old days. All right, so moving along. Okay, so this is all the members of the team. We even had another person on the team as well. We didn't put him on there, but anyway, these are all the team members. So these are some of the things that we consider, in the audit with respect to fraud. This is a requirement under generally accepted auditing standards. So we go through these items and keep going. Next page. So this is all the different areas: rev rec, cash and investments, receivables, and it talks about our procedures and our process, how we confirm, everything on cash and investments and receivables. And then for example, if a receivable confirmation doesn't come in, we'll look at subsequent receipts. And then the next section, capital assets and depreciation. We're going to go through, we're going to test certain capitalized items. We're going to recalculate depreciation expense. AP and accrued expenses, we're going to go through, your disbursements from July 1 of 23 up to October 31 to make sure there aren't any disbursements that should have applied to the previous fiscal year. Accrued wages and related payroll, we're looking at the calculations there. And then, of course, the unearned revenue and deferred inflow, we're looking at that as well in terms of your policies. All right, next page. Long-term liabilities and pension liabilities. Long-term liabilities, we're going to, send out confirmations on that. We did all that. Pension liability, you saw that. That's on pages 32 to 41. Huge disclosure there. We go through and look at what the actuary did. We make sure all the disclosures are in there. We come up with the proportionate share that's allocated to you, and we run through that calculation. And then fund balance, we look at the different fund balance areas. Once again, no exceptions were identified in these areas. So, all right. Now, the next few pages, these are what are referred to as required communication as the auditor. And our audit, everything was in the plan, scope, and timing of the audit. We have complied with all ethic requirements regarding independence, significant accounting policies. We talked about that. There weren't any new ones. You have many significant account policies, which was in that note 1 that we discussed. All right, next page. And significant estimates. We talked about that on the pension liability. And then we did not identify any actual or suspected instances of fraud. So I want to point that out. It's very important. Next page. Oh, and then I'm sorry, go back up for a second. Yeah, there were no significant difficulties encountered during the audit, other than what I mentioned. First year for our firm and all new people. Once again, management was very, very responsive. Uncorrected and corrected misstatements. We made journal entries for those conversion entries we talked about, and they were all approved, so that's fine there. There were no significant or unusual transactions. Next page. No disagreements with management. We received a rep letter from management. There were no consultations with other accountants on any issues, and there were no other significant matters, findings, or issues to be discussed. As mentioned in the internal control letter, there were no instances of noncompliance with laws and regs. The other information in the documents is included in the independent auditor's report, and substantial doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. There wasn't any issue there. And if you recall from previous years, the independent auditor's report laid out more information as to what the auditor has to do. We've always had to do it, but it was called the transparency standard, and it required us to put in the auditor's report what management's responsibility is with respect to determining whether the entity can continue as a going concern, and then what our responsibility is. And that's in the independent auditor's report. And there were no issues there. Okay, so I know that was relatively quick, but I understand that you guys have a pretty big agenda, so I wanted to keep it concise and let us know if you have any questions for me or Wendolyn.
So thank you. I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Kamali to add anything he would like to say. Mr. Kamali, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council, and I appreciate Mitchell and Titus because we have a close working relationship, and I'm glad that we could make it on October 31st, and looking forward to be working with them for next year and so many years to do it on time. So that's all I have. I just want to say thank you to my team, and I appreciate everyone. And that's the teamwork. That's not me. It's everybody's, what you call a donation. And
We definitely put together, Mr. Kamali, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kamali. And like I said earlier, thank you to you and your whole entire team. And, we do as much as we can on this end to support you guys, so that way you have the time and ability to do it. And at times I think that that time is needed, and this is the product of what it looks like, when you give me the time to focus on something that was very, very important for us. It's been number one priority. I think, Luke, what is it, 7 years in a row or something like that? So it's been on it. And that does not mean that we'll not go out of the number one priority, but even we want to make sure we continue. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to the council. Luke, I'm going to go first with you because I know we've been in this journey together for many years. Go on.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say to the audit team, thank you everyone for coming here tonight, presenting everything and all the work you do with our city. And then I just want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Kamali. when we hired you as city manager, this is one of the top priorities, and in every priority that we've kind of given you just hit it home, and it allows us all to kind of sleep at night knowing that our projects, our audits, our finances, things are going to get done. And I know a big reason for that is Ron Wilson, who's here as well. And Ron, I just want to give you a big thank you. I know you guys have worked just really hard on this over the last few years, and I just appreciate that. These are things that, like, residents maybe aren't paying too much attention to, but you guys are just working a lot of hours to make sure that we've gotten to this point in time, and just appreciate your work on this. And everybody else, as Selena said earlier, a lot of people and staff touch this, and it just puts us in such great standing. I just feel really good about where the city's at now, just with all the projects that are going on, and our financial health is a backdrop to that. So just appreciate all the work you do. So just thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Luke. And Natalie's also part of the finance team. But yeah, it's a lot of heavy work. And Ron has been with us. How many years now, Ron?
Sorry, Natalie. Sorry.
How many years have you been with us, Ron?
About 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5 continuous. And I think there was a little break at the beginning, but we brought you back.
There were a couple of hiatuses in there. One because of COVID. And
I would like to say, I, as acting city manager, transferring to Mr. Kamali, that was one of the things we make sure we did, like, brought Ron Wilson back. And we're like, we need somebody that's been here with us, so it's continuum. And that has helped us to make sure that carry on. But I remember having that conversation. We were like, yes, let's move through it. And thank you for making the time to adjust and make sure you were part of the team. I definitely appreciate that a lot. All right, so Jared, you're next online based on seniority. Go ahead.
No, thank you very much, Mayor. No, I just wanted to echo what Luke said. I came in here 2.5 years ago, and you all were, I know we were playing a lot of catch up on years of being behind on audits. Mr. Kamali, you and your team have done an amazing job getting us caught up. Thanks to the external audit team for all the work you've done, and for coming and speaking during Thanksgiving week as well. So thank you again for helping get things in tip-top shape for us, and dotting our I's and crossing our T's. It's really important for a lot of things. I know this is often not very sexy topic, but incredibly important for us and the city as a stewardship of public funds, and to show confidence and in our ability to manage funds and obtain other resources for the city and our community. So thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jared. Valerie?
Yeah, thank you. I think I just echo Luke and Jarrett. This is a very comprehensively and complicated document that you guys have put together, and it just shows our city's financial health is very strong, and that is going to allow us to continue getting alternative sources of funds from various grants and things like that. So thank you. Good job, Mr. Kamali and team, and I look forward to continued success in our financials.
Thank you, Valerie. Danielle?
Thank you. Yeah, I've been watching this trip the whole time that Selena and Luke's been doing it. And for the years and years and years, it's like always, we need to get caught up on audits. We need to get caught up on audits. And Mr. Kamali, congratulations for doing it. You and your team did just an awesome job doing this. And Dan, I want to thank you as well. I got this today, picked it up from City Hall, and I read through this. So I want to thank you for expanding my vocabulary, things outside of the financials I already knew. So now I know a lot more words than I did before, but definitely, Mr. Kamali, congratulations to you and the entire team. And Dan, thank you so very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, guys. And I'm going to open up to community to see if they have any questions at this point. And I think I said in my piece earlier how grateful I am for the work that you guys are doing. I think that being able to move from one auditor to the other and have somebody that knew our city and knew what it looked like and could work with that team was definitely very key. So Mr. Kamali and Ron as well, thank you for making sure that was an easy decision to do. We trusted who we had, and we have moved forward, and I've been always a very big advocate of being able to trust a relationship and carrying it through. And that's what we were, the former auditing company. And when we heard they have their services to municipalities. I almost had a heart attack, but thank God Dan in his wisdom decided to like continue, which allowed for it not to be starting from beginning, because they will have delayed us severely. And that was my argument a couple years back when they were trying to do too many changes. I was like, if we continue breaking this, it's gonna like start from zero, right? But this allowed also your team, and I think a lot of it has to do because we had trust in the things that you guys do, and we seen the work. And we also have very good members in our team that seen the work, and we heard their advice in order to move forward to make sure we trusted this new auditing company to take us where else we need to. So October 31st, I mean, I'm not gonna name it, like Titus what's it called day, but we're almost there. Okay, do it next year, and then I might think about naming the day after you guys. All right, I'll be work in progress. All right. All right. Perfect. So opening it up to the community. Does we have anything on Facebook? And if you're here in the chat, name, last name, block number, street number. If you wish to speak on this, sorry guys, my voice is on and off. If you wish to speak on this item. And if not, if I don't hear nothing, Jared, is there anybody on Facebook? All right, perfect. So I see nothing on the chat neither. So I'll farewell you guys. A good night. Thank you for making it the week of Thanksgiving. You deserve a well-reserved rest. And I know you guys are already starting to work on the next audit to make sure we meet the deadline and succeed. So let me tell you how beautiful it is for me to walk through Annapolis, and when I have conversations, tell people that we have turned our audit on time and actually in a good day. So they're definitely be waiting for me to hear that. All right. So thank you guys and have a good night. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Right. Bye-bye.
All right. So moving on to the next item. Guys, we're going to have Alma present in order to move it fast and have the resident present. Then I'm going to have Luke give the whole rundown that he always does. And then if you guys are good, thumbs up, and we're moving to the next item. Okay. Because it is 7:27. Are we good with that plan? Good? All right. So Luke, memorize your script so you're ready to speak. All right, Alma, can you present who we have here tonight? I see a presentation discussion on a community conversation. No, sorry, my apology. Presentation discussion on building application for 3207 Perry Street in Rainier. The mayor and council have presentation from the owner, 3207 Perry Street, Rainier. Alma, the floor is yours. Tell me a little bit about what's going on, any concerns that you might have, and then introduce the resident in front of us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, and residents. Thank you for having us here. Once again, we are here to actually listen to Mr. Todd Oshelman. He's the owner of 3207 Perry Street. To present his building permit that he applied for.
Okay, perfect, Mr. Todd. Welcome to Mayor and Council, and they're gonna put on the screen your project and tell us a little bit about yourself, your project, and what are the changes or additions you'll be making to the property. And we always ask whether or not are you planning to live there, or just a property that you're rehabbing and moving on with. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Sure. So my wife and my wife Leslie is on the call here as well. She's remote from Mount Rainier, but we've lived here in our house, and we plan to stay here for quite a while. So hope to continue seeing you guys around in the coming years and months and whatnot. This is our dog Rue, who has joined the call also. He's very excited about the fence that we'll have in the back, so we'll be able to let him go run around and play. Yeah, so my wife and I are pregnant, and so we're going to have our first baby, and this is going to be a place where hopefully we can have her parents can come stay and help us. We're looking at maybe having some friends live with us, or having somebody that can help us take care of the kid. So we've done we're doing a renovation of our basement to be a 2-bedroom in-law suite.
It'll be have a full kitchen, 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. There's effectively no change in the amount of lot occupancy, I guess you call it. There was a deteriorating staircase, an exterior wooden staircase that's going to be that's demolished. That'll be put farther away from the property line of my neighbor Will. I'm very close with all my neighbors. They're all very supportive. Let me just say that this process with PG County has been excruciating to try to get to this point where I have a permit from PG County. And you know, I really appreciate like your all's interest in it. I would hope like, and please don't take this the wrong way. I'm under a big deadline to get things done before my wife is going to give birth in March. And I've been at this trying to get this permit for, you know, a year and a half. And then, you know, on top of that, like I received the permit just after your last meeting. So like on the Wednesday after your last meeting. So it's like an additional 2 weeks, which is a big deal for me. And so I don't know, I know it's important that we have our eyes on our community. You know, I'm a builder in DC. You know, I do renovations and in DC, and I know it's important to keep an eye on everything that's going on in the building world. I think it's important, especially for our communities. But I you know, just want to say, I wonder if there was some way that we didn't have to have like a 2-week delay, because this is really important to me. I'm under an immense amount of stress for it. So just that being said, I needed to get that on my chest. I respect all of you guys, and I really appreciate the time that you put into our city. It's very much appreciated. I know, and I've talked to many of you guys, you know, Valerie and Mayor Selena and Jarrett. I've talked to you guys a good bit, and I know that you care deeply about Mount Rainier, as do we. So just quickly, our project is, you know, we digging down the basement a little bit to get proper ceiling height, putting in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, putting up a fence. There's no trees that we'll be working around. You know, we're going to be very careful about our trash and keeping all that. Any questions about it? You can see some profiles here. Welcome to look at the plans.
Perfect. We won't keep you up too late. One of the reasons why we also had this meeting today, if you heard, it's been a long, at least for me, it started at 3 o'clock in the morning with administrative work, and then it went on 5:30 and to right now, right? So the reason why we decided to also have the meeting was to not delay you anymore. It was important for us to make sure we got the plans, and we just do it to let the community know that we are where the plans are going, so that way they know that you have the things that you need to do. So we're not keeping you very long. You said there's no trees, you know, about the trash, you know, about the noise ordinance. Am I missing anything, Luke?
No, I think that's good. Just, yeah, no construction before 8 a.m., no construction after 8 p.m. And yeah, if there are any trees that are covered, just make sure they're, you know, Alma will help you, but it doesn't sound like that's the case at all. And just appreciate you coming by. I know this probably 2 weeks delay is really stressful for you, so appreciate you waiting for us to do this. And as long as Alma's all good with everything that's underway, we should be good here. And just thank you much. Also, if you're excavating, try to keep the clay, you know, so that if it rains, the clay doesn't sort of spill into like a little red river into your neighbor's yards or on the streets. That's the only other thing I would be mindful of.
Absolutely. We'll keep all that tarped, and we'll keep all the runoff. We want to keep it out of the bay also. So
great.
Perfect. So Alma, anything else we need to know? We're good. Alma Ferrufino, Director of Code. I
Sorry.
think you're muted. You're
What?
muted, Alma. Go ahead. We're good.
I'm sorry. Yes, so I do appreciate Mr. Osherman to be patient with us, you know, about the 2 weeks, and I'm glad that everything has worked out and you'll have your permit tomorrow.
Yes. So last but not least, Leslie and Todd, congratulations and welcome to the new bundle of joy to my Rainier. We look forward to meeting the wonderful gift you're bringing to the city, adding one more resident to the city at least. Okay. And so have a good night. We're not going to keep you up. We're all good. And thank you for waiting. And we wanted to make sure we got this out, and tomorrow pick up your permit and you'll be fine to start working. Okay. And thank you guys for your patience. Okay.
Thank you so much for having us this evening. I didn't realize you had made time for us.
No, of course. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for being great neighbors. Okay. So bye. Have a good night. All right. Moving on to the next item number 5. Discussion. Sorry, guys, I could barely even see. Discussion on mayor and council retreat. Mayor and council will have a discussion on their retreat. There's no big discussion. It's basically we're having a retreat. It'll be on the December 5th agenda for vote, and that's our big discussion. Anything you guys need to add? Nope, we're good. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. All right, moving on to the next item, presentation, discussion, community conversation, crime for residents for Ward 1, 15 minutes. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, the reason I asked for 15 minutes is because there usually is a lot of discussion. The bottom line is that, I mean, I've got a whole thing here, a 3-minute thing I can read. I announced that when I first elected that I was going to have a public meeting and community conversation or Ward 1 meetup at least once every quarter for as long as I'm in office. The last meeting I had that Luke also attended was a Ward 1 meetup and ice cream social on July 16th, where we had just over 50 residents attend. I started planning my quarterly meeting in mid-October and planned on having it in early November before Thanksgiving. This did not work out mainly because the community room was not available for me until the 27th. However, this did work out for a couple of other reasons. With all the talk about current crime issues and knowing that having Chief come to my meeting would help offset the misinformation, I decided to make a request at the November 7th council meeting that we plan a group meetup. I was prepared to offer the use of the community room, which I had already secured, and convert my Ward 1 meeting into a conversation on crime for both wards. Then we were notified that Chief would be giving his report at the November 7th council meeting. So I took the opportunity to just make the proposal during my comment time because adding yet another agenda item would just have extended it even longer. And I knew it was already going to be too long. As I said in my proposal on the 7th, I knew that we needed much more time to give the community the time they needed and deserved, and to have a discussion on this topic alone. Though no one commented on my proposal, and that's fine, or doubled back, there was a lot going on. I decided to go ahead and just bring it up again at tonight's meeting as an official agenda item. So I'm coming to the council tonight to repeat my previous proposal that Chief and or his representatives from the force attend the Ward 1 community meeting on November 27th from 6 to 9. The structure of the meetup will be a town hall style where participants will be encouraged to write their questions on an index card so that they can be asked. Orderly community discussion will be allowed. For my normal Ward 1 meetings, I would not necessarily invite a council member from Ward 2, but under the circumstances, I am more than happy to share the space and date so that we can address more residents than just those in Ward 1. So again, my Ward 1 community conversation meetup is going to be happening since I've already secured the room, but I think letting Chief attend this meeting will be a great step in helping the community process all of the information that they have heard and read and envisioned, because that's what's going on, versus what the Chief can actually give them. I have not advertised this meeting outside of a few residents I have spoken to personally because I wanted to wait and see the results of tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna start with Luke. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Danielle, for bringing this up again with us, and glad to see you doing the Ward 1 meetups. Those are so great to do and to organize. Totally support you on that front. I think that if we're going to have staff and Chief talk on items like policing, I think I'd really love us to do that as sort of together as a group. I think in the past when we've done that's how we've done things. We've had either a special meeting or what's the word I'm looking for, or a public hearing where Melinda's had staff come and we can sort of have it be just sort of everyone together in the room, hearing the same thing, talking about the same things, figuring out solutions. So that's kind of where my head's at, is that if we're going to do something with a department head and the community, it just makes sense for me that we would do that as a group. And open to people's talk about when that makes the most sense. But yeah, so support you doing the Ward 1 meetup. Just don't know about using Chief that way unless we're all going to be sort of involved in an event. That's kind of where my head is, but I'm open to whatever everyone else has to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Jarrett?
Yeah, no, thanks, thanks Danielle for, well, thanks for all, all of us are engaged actively in the community, outreach and reaching out to folks, and having conversations with residents about, about their concerns, including on crime. I would, and Luke and Selena have been here for far longer than me. I've only been here 2.5, and they've been here, over 5, 6. And we've seen, ups and downs as it goes, as it relates to public safety. And unfortunately, this is a moment that we've, had some waves of, had some public safety concerns that have, and been larger and been worse than they have been in the past. So I would kind of want to defer to the approach we've taken historically in engaging community. I would agree with Luke that I think we're strongest when we bring together the community together as a whole. I also want to make sure that we pull our officers off the street, we bring them to update the community and receive and get feedback from the community in a way that that adds and that provides an update and adds some input. We just had Chief come and our police leadership come and give an update a couple like a week and a half or so ago. I want to make sure if we're pulling officers off the street, if we're having a community engagement, community conversation, that we're able to bring kind of new information, new feedback, in this moment. So I'm certainly hoping to continuing conversations on public and engagement as it relates to public safety. This is never this is a tough topic, particularly when, as Chief mentioned and went over a lot of the dynamics in the, in the community. Some of them are related to, a lot of them are related to, factors that are sometimes some that we can control with increased public enforcement. A lot, as Chief detailed at length, are issues related to sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Are issues related to broader social dynamics, and issues, as we mentioned, some of it's within household crime. One of the issues that was detailed was a chief, youth, shooting an adult that was part of his household. Some of the issues we can address more broadly and more immediately, and a lot of the issues there's a broader social dynamics going on that are much more challenging, as Chief mentioned. But I appreciate you. I appreciate all of us addressing and caring about this issue. I appreciate you continuing to highlight it. I've lost people to violence, and in my past, and I just want to be clear, this is something that is very important to me. It's very important to all of us, and something we've cared about. Succeeding budgets we've maintained, and our commitment to public safety. And I want folks in the community to know that for many budget cycles, including this one. So anyways, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jarrett. Valerie?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's really important for all of us as council members to work together to set up community conversations, especially when it comes to policing. I think enforcement and policing is one thing. I think there's a host of other issues that could be, you know, we could have our social services coordinator coming in to talk about some of the other work that's being done in the community, that the wraparound services that people need. And so I think this is a little bit of a larger conversation. And I think much to Jarrett and Luke's point, I would like to have a little bit more structure around the conversation so that people can feel heard and that we can bring new information and new plans for, you know, not just the next week or two, but in the next year, in terms of policing and goals and setting aspirations for what we want our community, you know, to feel as we go forward. So I think it's important that we kind of strategically work through this. And so I'm open to having a time and a date, but I think there should be a time and date that kind of work for all of us and that staff can participate in as well. So thank you, and I'm open to talking more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. I think that bringing Chief, you know, like, sorry guys, I need to get my thoughts together. It's just like I'm running on water and I'm barely being put together. So a couple things. We had instituted a while back reports from the various offices for this particular reason. So that way the community directly will hear, and it was city organized, right? That's what we have. I believe twice a year, we have the rotation of every department. Am I correct, Mr. Kamali? For them to come in for administrator to HR and stuff like that to hear directly from them. And it usually helps because the community could know that, like, you know, on Tuesday at 7 p.m., they'll be here and, you know, and it works through. When it comes to bigger issue, we have pulled the city to be able to do that. The staff does not belong to one council member or even myself as mayor. They work under the city manager and they belong to the city. And that's the reason why we heavily have done when events like this happen. Luke, I know you mentioned back to Mayor Miles, right? We will do, like, you know, events such as this when it comes to the city, like, you know, hosting it to make sure we all co-agree on a day and work through it, but also that chief of police and any other research we have, but also like consulting with our police department saying, who else do we need to bring? Do we need to bring somebody from the county? Do we need to bring somebody from like that in order for resources to happen? And at times it will be also brought like various departments outside the county to be able to do it. But this is an organized event to make sure that city runs it. And at the same time, we have the various factors that the other people have talked about. I think that sometimes the danger of having just one person pulled a staff to do this is that opens also a door for Valerie saying, okay, I'm having a Ward 2 meeting like next week. And now like I need Chief, let's put on the agenda and now Chief has to come. Same thing for Jared, same thing for Lucas, something like that. That's the reason why they are staff is under the person that runs the day-to-day. In this case is the city manager. And that's the reason why the city is the one that does those meetings. And I'll like, you know, also repeat something that was very said. Safety of the community has been a concern for many of us. I know it was a concern from like at least even before the first council me and Luke joined. So this is not something new, and it's not something that I will say like none of us care. I think that all of us are very adamant at what it is, and that's the reason why I will tell you. The police reports being submitted to us that were submitted was something that we requested as council, and that's the reason why they started getting sent to us the way they did. And this happened like a couple of years back, and we carry on through it because we wanted to make sure we knew what it was. And I know I was one of the ones that was very adamant at asking for them to also be publicized and for them to be housed in the city website so that we know what they're doing. Are we more out transparent than other cities? 100%. Because I think we put a lot of data out and information, and sometimes it's good, sometimes people feel it's bad because people get a sense of what's going on, but sometimes they don't see the bigger picture of what it is and what isn't, right? So at least for me, very much, I like what we have kept it to, which is, you know, city run, where we all work and participate, and we have a, you know, the feeling from our city manager, from our chief of police when it comes to who else we need to bring, and it's being organized by them. And then we make sure that we're there, and it's every effort to make sure organized. Trying to put something like, you know, last minute an important issue like that, I don't think is what we need to be doing. And I don't mean like how even if we had decided 2 weeks ago, it's still not enough notice. right? I think that at this point, if we need to bring Chief for a quick update, we could also do it in whatever meeting we need to. But if we're gonna do something that's with that, I do have to agree with Valerie when it comes to, have Chief talk about what the plan is for the next year, what they're working on. Also, expose to different things that they're doing when it comes to youth, when it comes to the state attorney, when it comes to the county, when it comes to the MOUs and the partners and various things that they do, because they do have a plan. And they have said in various reports, they have communicated to us as well, but it's good for the community to also be aware that this is a plan. This is not Luke's favorite work, a whack-a-mole approach. This is something that's very deliberate and done. And I think that's what works the best. So at least that's where I'm going to be at. I think that the city needs to work on putting something together, and that'll be on Mr. Kamali and Chief to work this through, and then work on this that work for the rest of us to make sure we could put something together. But that's kind of where I'm at. And it's still the same thing that's been for and I'm not even gonna say just for me and Luke, because there's issue of importance for police safety goes back even before I was elected. Every single council has worked very heavily on making sure that this is important and have conversations as well. So I would say that it has worked very impressively that way, in order to make sure we have the officers doing the work they need to do to be able to bring the results they need to, because the reality is every single department across the nation is short with staff. And I would say that I want them to plan something correctly, for them to do it while they're working on what things they need to do. But if the city takes lead, it also allow for them to be able to work on the other departments. But having Nick Audi also be introduced as a social service coordinator to tell about what they're doing, the detectives, they were here last time. But also the CIT training and the efforts that they put heavily to have a community focus on the community. Things like visiting the businesses, how they're signing up, what it looks like, visiting Rainier Manor 1 and 2. So it's very aspects of things that are happening that people might not be aware of, the bigger plan that they execute to keep the city safe. Because sometimes when something pops, that's when we're concerned, but they're working day and night on keeping the city safe. And that's the reason why when things happen, they have such a high percentage rate of being able to arrest the people and follow through in cases that are both little and federal, right? And that's the reason why they have such a percentage of on it. So to me, I'll summarize, and I'm sorry for that, is very much focused on city, do it as a city, and put the very pieces together and have our team do what they do best. Have them advise us in who and what and where, but also who are the members that should be there, and the bigger and smaller picture. And I think that both the city manager and chief have demonstrated they're more than capable of doing that, and bringing the partners we need to do to have the bigger conversation. Because the crime rate is not just a Rainier thing. It's something that's, hitting the whole entire region. So it's important for us to also hear what else is going on and what are the efforts both for here, but also that they have. And I'll tell you this, our police department and our chief are very much in tune to other departments, other people, and working with various agencies to try to combat not just things that are minute things that we know of, but even bigger issues that they're we hear about it until they're in court, because they have to keep it as they are in order not to affect the investigation. So that's where I'm at. And sorry, I'm rambling at this point. I'm just tired. All right. Thank you, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and give you Danielle, can I finish? I was going to give you the floor right now. Please just give me a second, okay? And then let me give the instructions. Danielle, you'll have the floor. And to the community members, if you wish to speak, please put name, last name, block, and street number. And I'll provide the mic. If you're on Facebook, the same thing. Okay, thank you, guys. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, thank you guys for letting me bring this tonight to talk about. I've had a lot of residents reach out and ask for this, and being that I'm already having a meeting, I just felt it would have been irresponsible for me not to offer to have this happen. So anyway, I look forward to doing it collectively.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, I'm losing my vision by the second. All right. I have Hillary Varga from 3300 block of Shepherd. Go ahead, Hillary, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to the council for taking time to talk about this. I appreciate that everyone is taking it seriously. I do believe that, and I am grateful for that. I appreciate Danielle raising this issue and said as much on the last city council meeting about this, because I have heard a lot of concerns from people. I personally have a lot of concerns. I've lived in this area for 12 years and feel fundamentally different about my personal safety and security and that of my family than I did in the past. And so, and I've heard that from a lot of people, including people who are thinking of moving. And so I do think it's something that should be taken really seriously. I think, you know, I agree and think it makes sense to have it be something that is kind of holistically with the whole city, and that people should have enough advance notice. I would really strongly encourage the council not to take a lot of time to schedule that. I know we're getting into the holidays and that's really tricky, but because we're getting into the holidays, crime is increasing pretty significantly. I think we all likely saw that DC just passed its 20-year record of homicides. So we now have more homicides in DC than we have since 2003. So I think there's like a fundamental change. And I appreciate the sentiment that people have been concerned about this for years and certainly don't want to dismiss the work that's been done or kind of the fact that we are where we are because of the work of people on this call to get, you know, reporting and weekly reports. I think those are great and I certainly read them. But I also think it's important to recognize that we're not in kind of the normal situation that we've been in for the past several years, that like there is a significant increase in crime. And so I do think that there needs to be a pivot perhaps in the posture, and maybe it's just in how things are being communicated, but I think certainly kind of people's concerns and fears shouldn't be dismissed, and should be kind of heard and taken seriously. And I think a standalone meeting would be of value. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is anybody else in the call that wishes to speak? Please type your name. Jared, sorry, I can't even pronounce right now. Jared, do you have anybody on Facebook? Thank you so much. Seeing that there is no comments, it is 7:56, you guys. So I think I'm hearing a predominant, like, I'll read them, I promise, Melissa. I'm hearing a predominant feeling, and thank you, Danielle, for agreeing to it as well. That is going to be taken upon the city. So, Mr. Kamali, you and your team, along with the chief, will work on this, okay? All right, so
thank you. We'll do.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to read to the events because the city administrator office will be closed for Thanksgiving Day and Employee Appreciation Day. That'll be November 23rd and 24th. Holiday movies in Rainier Center, and this is brought by the City of Rainier Police Department, the Nature Center. December 1st, Dr. Seuss The Grinch. December 8th, The Jungle Jangle. December 15th, Charlie Brown. And December 27th, The Start. And this is at 6:30 p.m. The Recreation Committee will have a Sweaty Sweater Fun Run December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. Rainier Elementary School. Reach out to Valerie as the rec liaison of the rec committee. What's the email, Valerie, for the rec committee?
Recreation Committee at mountrainiermd.org.
Perfect. So you can find information also on our website if you want to sign up. I think we have about 100 people sign up somewhere around there right now. But sign up quickly before we close the registration. Parade of Lights, December 16 at 6 p.m. City Administrative offices will be closed December 25th, 2023. And you know what? I just realized you guys didn't put here. The photo with Santa is not on the list, you guys. Oh, I skipped it. December 9, 10 a.m., 12 to 10 p.m. Also, like, you guys better put it there. I work so hard on this thing year round. And that's going to be at the Rainier Nature Center. Melly, did I miss anything? Melly's looking like, no, I know you're halfway asleep too, Melly. I'll give you a break.
The holiday basket distribution.
Okay, the holiday basket distribution. The registration for the holiday basket distribution is opening up tomorrow. Please sign up. Please sign up. If you sign up today, it does not count. It counts starting tomorrow, right? And it's going to be, what do you guys know what day the distribution is going to take place, Melly? Is it the 14th?
December 14th. So it was changed from December 15th to December 14th.
So we changed it to a Thursday.
Yes.
I'll tell you guys quickly in the last minute I have. Unfortunately, the truck was 3 hours late, so we had it to like move faster than we can think to try to get that food delivered under rain, under freezing rain. And I'll tell you this, those bags had like more icicles than anything attached to it. But a big thank you to the whole entire team, from the explorers and the volunteers that help, the explorers and the Girl Scouts that help put the bags together. I know Ms. Lee Valerie was also there. Barry Zelinsky was also there. But also our staff, our whole complete staff, for an administrative, PD, code, public works. You know, who else, Melissa, am I missing? Because I'm blanking out. Code was also there. Social service, parking, obviously Power PD, everybody pulled through together to make sure we make this happen in a very short window. But I also want to thank our partners, Mount Rainier Elementary, Thomaston Elementary, Cesar Chavez Elementary, Rainier Manor 1 and 2, for helping us out and making this happen, because it took a lot of people to like also receive us in the locations we were at, to like bring those baskets down and help us distribute. But it definitely could have been done without the leadership of the team, and making a lot of efforts. Melly, thank you for also putting the stuff together, because this is work for months to get to this point, and putting it together is a lot. So we'll deserve time off, guys. All right, so I'm gonna put a motion to adjourn. It is 8 p.m.
Second.
It's been probably moved and seconding. Objection? Any discussion? Any abstentions? All right, hearing no objections, abstentions, we have called this meeting to an end. Thank you guys so much, and I'm logging out. Good night.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mayor.
everyone.